guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing what you need to do in order to get that sought after hourglass body. So if that's something that interests you, then make sure to keep watching. And remember, if you get value from today's video, to be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already to join the Caybayfit fam where it's fun, fit, and fabulous all the time. So before I jump into today's tips and tricks to achieve this hourglass figure, I just want to say, first off, that I'm not trying to say that an hourglass figure is the only kind of figure that's beautiful. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. Everybody is beautiful no matter your shape and size. This is basically a video just for anybody who's looking to give themselves a challenge to recreate their body composition into a more hourglass shape if that's what they so desire. But in no shape or form am I saying that that's the only type of body that is beautiful. With your fitness journeys, like I always say, health should be your main focus and main priority first. And then once you feel like you're in a healthier place, if you want to steer your focus towards a goal like challenging yourself to attain an hourglass figure, or whether it be, more capped shoulders, bigger glutes, then, once you're healthier, then you can kind of go on to challenge your body composition that way. All right, so I just wanted to say that little disclaimer first, but without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so first things first, when trying to attain that hourglass figure naturally, you need to make sure that you're working out both upper and lower body. You can't simply just focus on your lower body. You need to also give attention to your upper body and your core as well to give you that nice tapered look. Doing this is how you're going to attain that figure naturally, not by relying on surgeries or waist trainers. Some women, lucky them, naturally have this hourglass shape thanks to their genetics and their bone structure. The rest of us, while we can't alter our bone structure or where our body chooses to store fat, we are in control of how much fat is stored. We can control that by our food choices, etc. And we're in control of how we shape our muscles to try and attain this figure by body recomposition with lifting weights. Okay, so going back to the importance of focusing on your upper body too. A lot of women are nervous about working their upper body out of fear of looking too masculine or bulky looking. When, if you've watched my other videos, I'll link them somewhere in the cards here, I stress over and over that it's not possible as a female to get bulky or masculine looking from lifting weights unless you're taking some type of steroid or something like that. Again, you need to equally work on your lower body, your upper body, and your core to get that nice tapered waist. And once you start focusing more on building your upper body, especially your back and your shoulders, this is going to create the top half of the V shape right up here, because it's going to create a more broader back and shoulder area, which is going to make your waist look smaller and cinched. And so the more that you focus on building your back and shoulders, you're going to see that hourglass definition more and more. And the best thing to do is take photos, and you will see this progression through photos. So again, I can't stress enough, do not slack on your upper body days. I usually will train upper body at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times a week. And then same goes with my lower body 2 to 3 times a week, so it's nice and equal. And then for core, I usually just tack that on to the end of my upper body days a couple times a week. All right, so since we started by talking about exercise, I'm going to share with you first my top exercises to do to achieve this hourglass figure for both upper and lower body. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of the nutrition side of things for attaining this shape. Okay, so my first favorite exercise that I'm going to share with you, it's kind of a 2-in-1, which is great. It's going to work your back and your shoulders at the same time, which, like I said, are the 2 muscle groups you really want to focus on building. The movement is face pulls. So I typically will do this movement on a cable machine with a rope attachment. From your face pulls, you can go right into straight arm pull downs, still keeping the rope attachment on the machine. And with this movement, it's more so back focused, and you're really going to feel your lats, so the sides of your back, that large muscle here, pulling the weight in this movement. And building up your lats, so the outer part of your back, is really important in creating that hourglass look. So from straight arm pull downs, you can go into like high back rows. So you could do, you know what I mean, a 2-arm, and that's gonna work your lats as well. Or you could do like a 1-arm row if you wanna do single arm work. A few others that are great for working your lats are wide grip pull downs, wide grip pull ups, and then also the T-bar row. Anytime you're doing these types of movements, you wanna make sure that your form is tight. So you don't want to be, like say I'm sitting at the lat pull down, you don't want to be like pulling it down and coming up off the chair. Like you want to keep your form nice and tight, your shoulders down and back, and you want to squeeze like there's something between your shoulder blades and really squeeze back and down. And another thing as well, you want to make sure that you keep the handle nice and close to your face and not out here. You want to bring it down, and that's the closer it is to your face, the easier it's going to be to keep your form nice and tight and your shoulder blades squeezed together to really work that back. And then my favorite exercise to really target those shoulders are lateral raises. So you can do this any kind of way you want. Dumbbells on the cable machine. There's seated lateral raise machines at most gyms. So this is going to give that nice cap shoulder look from doing side raises, which again is going to help give you that nice cinched waist, making it more broader up top and cinched down the center. And remember, it's always best when trying to get your form down and right to start with a lighter weight and work your way up with progressive overload. I say this over and over, I know, but you don't want to start out by having bad form by trying to lift heavier than you can handle. So start with lightweight, get familiar and comfortable with your form, and then you can start to go up. Let me know in the comments below how many days a week that you have been training upper body. Now that we know the importance of making sure you get it in to attain that hourglass figure. All right, so those are some of my favorite moves for upper body. Now we'll talk about lower body and what those favorite exercises are. So when working your lower body to get that hourglass figure, you want to really focus on working your outer thighs and maximizing your hip extension. And this will work the bottom half of the hourglass figure. To really get that hip extension going, I like to do bent over cable kickbacks. So with my ankle straps that I have linked down below, I would bring those with me to the gym, hook them around my ankles, clip them to the cable, and do some cable kickbacks. And yes, I do bend myself over to get more of a kickback and more of an extension. Or I like to do donkey kicks on the Smith machine. Now, this one is a little bit of a harder move to master. You kind of really got to get the feel down and know how to do it yourself without it re-hooking on the machine. So it's nice if you do have a friend with you, if if you're attempting this movement, so that way they can be there to keep the bar from locking when you're pushing it up and down with your heel. And both the cable kickbacks and the donkey kicks both really extend through the hip nicely. And then another movement that you can do at home or in the gym, I call them elevated hip ups. So you literally lay your back on the floor, put your feet up on either like an ottoman, a chair, or a bench if you're at the gym, and you're gonna push up through your heels, bring your body up off the floor and down. And this is, again, gonna create that hip extension that you need. And then lateral lunges are a great way to work both the outer thigh, which is, like I said, the key muscle to work to get that hourglass shape. And it's also gonna work your inner thigh, so it's kind of a win-win. And I personally like to do lateral lunges on the cable machine as well. I just love the cable machine, if you couldn't already tell. So with that, again, you have your ankle straps on, hook it to your ankle strap, and then you're gonna lead out with your leg that's further away from the tower, and you're really gonna feel that all through the side of your thigh. And you can do lateral lunges with dumbbells as well, but I strongly encourage you to give it a try on the cable machine and see what you think. I feel my muscles working so much more when I do lateral lunges on the cable machine versus with dumbbells, but that's just personal preference. But let me know in the comments below if you've ever tried lateral lunges on the cable machine. Glute bridges are another one that really perk up the booty and make the waist look really cinched and small, especially from the side view. Hip thrusts, of course, couldn't forget to mention hip thrusts. This is gonna really shape your glutes nicely. And you want to make sure in your movement that you're keeping your feet wide and turned outwards when you do your hip thrusts to really put emphasis on building up the upper glutes. So hip extension is important, but so is hip abduction for building that hourglass figure. If you are at the gym, I love to use the hip abductor machine, and what I will do is I will do a couple sets literally kind of standing up and leaning forward and pushing out the pad that way, and then I will sit down on the very edge. Instead of sitting on the backrest, you're going to scoot forward, sit on the edge, and push the pads out that way, and you're going to feel those sides of your thighs firing away, let me tell ya. Try it out. And then of course, if you want to do some single leg hip abductor work, get back onto the cable machine again, put your ankle straps on, and lift that leg out from the side, and you're gonna feel it all through the side of your thigh once again, and it's gonna be a nice way to give each leg individual attention. But then if you're not at the gym and you're at home, some movements you can do to work the hip abductors are standing leg raises, so band around your thighs, lift your leg out to the side. You can do this laying down, same thing, or you can do what I really like to do, kind of like a burnout thing, is you're gonna sit on a couch, chair, whatever you have, band around your thighs, and you're gonna open and close that abduction movement, right? So you're gonna do some sitting straight, then you're gonna lean forward, do some leaning forward, and then lean back and do some leaning back, and then it's gonna kind of hit all parts of the thigh. And then also, if you're doing some glute bridges at home, you can simply, at the top of the glute bridge, do an abduction movement and then back down and back down. And last but not least, when it comes to your core, you want to try to stick to body weight only, or keep the weight really light when you're working your core. And this is the only time you're ever going to hear me say to not go heavy with your weight. If you use heavier weights when you train your core, it can lead to your midsection almost looking like boxy, and that defeats the whole purpose of that hourglass shape, right? I can't even make an hourglass with my hands, but it's gonna make you look more straight and square instead of having that curvy look that you want. So definitely don't go heavy with the core exercises. Keep it to body weight, light weight only. And you definitely don't want to overwork your core either, so don't go crazy with core work. Like I said, I usually stick to twice a week. I mean, even once a week would probably be fine. It's not something you want to be doing every single day, that's for sure. Because your core needs rest to develop just like any other muscle group does. I don't know why people always wonder like, oh, can I work out core every day? Like, you really shouldn't. Like, give it rest just like all your other muscle groups. It's gonna end up developing and showing and building muscle a lot better if you give it adequate rest in between working it out. So when I work my core twice a week, I always try to do at least 1 to 2 exercises that are gonna target my upper abs, my lower abs, and my obliques. And then also develop those deeper core muscles that really help with my bigger compound movements. I usually will tack on my core exercises to the end of my upper body days, or if I end up missing them, for that week, then I just make sure that my core is super engaged on the days when I'm doing my big compound movements. All right, so we covered some of my go-to exercises for attaining that hourglass figure naturally and quicker. Next, like I said, I'm gonna touch on the nutrition side of it a little bit and the cardio side of things a little bit. As much as we'd like to, we just cannot spot reduce fat, but wouldn't that be nice if we could? Just get rid of that little bit of belly fat, just like that. Instead, we can only lose fat all over our body. We can't pinpoint choose where we want the fat to go from. once we've built on some muscle and then we say, hey, you know, I think I built enough, I kind of want my hard work to shine through now, then you would go into a little bit of a cutting phase to get rid of some of that unwanted fat to make those muscles pop, or to get that hourglass figure to pop a little bit more. To do that, then we need to create a little bit of a calorie deficit, so more energy out than in. But if, say, losing fat isn't your main priority, like say you're someone who's naturally more thin and has a hard time like getting that definition, then the only way in that instance to start getting that definition is to begin by putting on muscle. And in order to put that muscle on, you need to create a little bit of a calorie surplus, so the opposite, and really focus on lifting weights to start getting that definition. The best way to get closer to that hourglass figure is by always keeping these cycles separate. So, you know what I mean, focus either on building muscle in one cycle and then, you know, focus on losing fat. You don't want to try to be doing two things at once. But in saying that, when you lift weights, it is really good for burning through that visceral fat, which is belly fat. You may or may not have noticed that after lifting weights for a while, you naturally start to have a little bit more definition in that core area, even if you're not trying to, and that's because lifting heavier weights is gonna help you burn through some of that belly fat. Plus, when you lift weights, it helps your body burn fat even when you're at rest. So it's like, where can you go wrong? Lift those weights, girlfriend. Another way that you can burn a little fat even when your goal is building muscle is incorporating a couple of HIIT sessions. I usually do like 1, maybe 2 tops HIIT sessions when I'm in a building phase of no more than 15 to 30 minutes. Plus, this way you're not neglecting your cardiovascular health even when you're in a building phase. You don't want to like completely just do no cardio at all, because you still got to think about, again, your health first and foremost. So by keeping those 1 to 2 sessions in there, it's still going to help your cardiovascular health. And I usually don't do any lists, so low intensity steady state, unless I'm in a cutting phase. So for my HIIT workouts, I personally like to do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and usually about 8 to 12 rounds of that. And that's it, call it a day, and then you're still gonna reap the benefits after your HIIT for a little while of burning through that fat. HIIT workouts also leave your lean muscle alone, which you don't want it to be touched when you are trying to build muscle, so that's good. I mean, LIST does too, but like I said, you want to try to start adding in LIST sessions only when you need to in a cutting phase. Otherwise, keep the cardio to a minimum when you're trying to put on muscle, and keep it to 1 to 2 HIIT sessions a week tops. Because the thing is, if you do too much cardio in a building phase, well then when it comes to a cutting phase, you're gonna have nowhere to go other than to add more cardio, which you're gonna end up burning out if you already were doing too much during your building phase. So just think about it. If you just keep it to 1 to 2 HIIT sessions and that's it, well then once you decide to cut, then it's like you can just slowly add in a few more LIST sessions here and there, and you're gonna see, you know what I mean, the weight slowly coming off as it should. So you always want to leave cardio in your back pocket as a fat burning tool when the time comes. What you need to figure out is if you're in the category of wanting to cut, to bulk, or you're kind of happy with where you're at and you kind of want to reap the benefits, a little bit of both. But like I said, you're going to see the best results when you focus on one goal and then switch out to another one down the road. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's tips and tricks to attain that hourglass figure, but please remember this video is simply for people who are looking for a little bit of a challenge, and that beauty is not defined by having an hourglass shape or bigger glutes. So remember that, never forget that you're beautiful no matter what your body composition is. If you feel like you got value from today's video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet to join the Caybayfit fam and enjoy more fitness related videos. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you have a fun, fit, and fabulous day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.